Too long, too short.
How's that? So the layout for these walls has been continued from the layout of the interior. And so these are all should line up 16 on center in line with the walls inside the house. Notice the California corner right there. That'll give us spot for the drywall. So with this garage wall that we're building right here, that we're going to tilt up onto these bolts, which is the same way we put up all the other garage walls, this bolt lines up right on a stud. So what we've done is actually drilled out this whole stud. You can see the whole depth of this drill, and this bolt right here that I'm touching with the drill head is just going to sit right inside there. And then we'll drill a new bolt hole and drill down into the concrete and brace the wall that way. So, yeah, interesting. Big old, drawing a big old header right here out of the LVL.
Okay.
Interesting. It's like a California corner right there type thing. So it's worth mentioning with these exterior doors that the king studs are put in first, and then because they've got these weight-bearing needs, you measure the trimmers afterward, because this trimmer is 99 1/4, and that one's 99 3/16. You also notice that the header is sitting on a stud. You don't want to put the bottom plate on this and then have that sitting on the stud, because the wood compresses more with this way. It doesn't compress as much this way, so you want these to be sitting on the trimmers. And so now we're going to cut a bottom plate right here, frame out the door, and that should be what we should be about done putting this door in. But yeah, the trimmers for these are always measured after, once the header's put in, because they're all exterior door. Getting this top plate and straddling the garage championship edition. Good work, Colton. As you can see, we put this big 16-foot top plate across from the main house, going all the way to the edge of this garage, tying it all together, giving a lot more structural stability. They're pretty high up there. These are tall walls. These studs reach 108 inches long. That's on top of already like a 2-foot wall. So we're up here. Good work.
Thanks.
This corner stud right here is going to be the front of the garage wall. We've got one standing. You can see I've got that standing up there. We just kind of framing this wall in place. It looks like we got the triple stud right, or the triple header right here of this LVL. Same type of situation.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Something worth mentioning, like on all these LVL beams and all this other stuff, like these eye joists and everything, there is a right side up and an upside down. You can see, like on here, there's these holes. Those holes are always down. That's for able to be able to push to run like cables and other things for. Also, you should be able to read the writing as well on the stuff when you have it installed. You can see on all of these that you can read the writing on it. If it was upside down, you would know you have it installed upside down. And so that's stuff to be aware of. You can see on this one, the writing's on the inside, but we've got that installed the correct way. We made sure that we put them together, but yeah, again, you can read the writing. You can see how we got this braced. blocking in between on this joist right here. Those little blocks, like those blocks were installed and then the stud was put up next to it. You can see we got a little bit of spacing right there as well to just help us get to our proper rough opening. So there may be some other reasoning behind that. That looks like that'll line up with the front sheeting of when this other wall comes in this direction potentially. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, got the 3 pieces of LVL nailed together on both these garage door openings. Pretty awesome. Okay, we can see these blueprints have a lot of different information on them, like 7/16 OSB nailed with, I'm guessing 8 penny nails, 8 inches on center into the top block, bottom block, and top plate. So looks like that's pointing to the top block, the bottom block. I'm not sure exactly where it all nails. I guess we'll be able to figure out exactly what that all means 100%, but you can also see things like this 5/8 inch diameter anchor bolt. Those are those ones that we put into the concrete that our sill plate are all attached to. Like those metal straps, minimum 2 of a 3,500 pound strap. This plan tells you that type of information. And so that's marked with what, the CSPF, right? And so yeah, continuous sheathing portal frame with hold down. So that's to help with the walls in the garage that don't have the same type of connection that the rest of the house does structurally. So then you can see on here we've got like the CSPF pointed out, and the CSPF pointed out, and that is referring to right there, those metal straps right there, those metal straps right there. And again, you know, you can see that that's talked about right here and tells you about it. Right here you can see there's this mud spill, continuous from mud sill to double top plate 7/16 OSB. Talks about the 1/2 inch by 10 inch anchor bolts. Those are those washers that we put in, or those bolts that go through the sill plate and they're hooking underneath the rebar that we did when we poured the concrete. And that's CSWSP. Again, you can see on the plans how it talks about where that's all available, or where it's all required in the building. And so there's a lot of different information that's contained in here. Just got to read it. So with door openings on the plans, so you can see like on this garage door, it's a 3068 door. That means it's 3 feet wide and 6 feet 8 tall. When you're building the door jamb for those, you do it 2 inches wider than what they said. And so once your trimmers are in, that opening should be 3 feet 2 inches wide. And then when you're putting in when you're cutting your headers for that, then of course that's 3 inches wider to make up for the fact that it's going over 2 more stud, 1 more extra stud on each side. So windows are always cut to the actual dimensions that are listed on there. So like this 2650 window, which is 2 feet 6 wide and 5 feet tall, you make that rough opening an actual 2 foot 6, 5 feet dimension. Whereas with this door, instead of doing it 3 feet by 6 foot 8 tall, you do it 3 feet 2 by 6 foot 8. So yeah, and I think there's actually some other information on that 6 foot 8 as well, but having to do with like the exterior doors and where your bottom step might be. So you see how this scaffolding is pretty simple. We kind of did a little 3-way maneuver right here. Okay, finishing up this garage wall. Of course, these are all laid out 16 on center, like everything else. Okay, right here you can see I've built this like miniature California corner with a 2x6 and a 2x4. So that the same way that we've got this this big old header right here, this LVO header, sitting on a 2x4 right here and a 2x6. That way we're doing the same thing up here in this upper joist. So that's what we got going on here. And now you can see nail in place. So we're going to nail it in. Actually, we'll have to nail it this way.
Put it in the back of the truck.
Put up a few little crossbars to help us hold this up overnight. It's also worth noticing how we've done this. Put a stake at the end of that and nailed the board to it. And of course we plumbed the wall before, as we drove those in, we made sure the wall was plumbed. And that's helping us keep everything square. You can see we did the same thing on that side with that cross member right there that's going up to the wall. Same thing, simple. And then we put up the cross braces to help give some structural support overnight. You see that like diagonal brace going up at like right there. That's for overnight. And then here, again, you see the stake behind it, holding it in place, driven into the mud, keeping it plumb. How far down was that?
From the string, I'm about 40 inches.
Okay.
How far down do we need to be?
Below the frost line, 30. And we pulled this chalk line right here on the base. It's 23 inches. That's going to be the top of the patio right there. Okay, right now we're going through and finding areas that need backing for the drywall. And so right now we're using our scrap 2x10s to use and 2x6s in order to create blocking. Like right here we put in this 2x6 right here because this would have been open space, so when this drywall goes in, we need something to back to right there. And then you can see how when the drywall comes into this corner and when it comes into this corner right here, if we didn't have this 2x10 in that I'm putting in right here, it would have nothing to back against. So that's what we're using that for. And you can see that he's done that on this side that he's doing right there. And so that's what we're doing right now, is going in and finding all the corners where drywall is going to need somewhere to back against. So we notice on these straps right here that we've got these 2x4 studs that have to be going from a top plate to a bottom plate in order for these straps to be able to have sufficient material and adding the support that they're designed to add. So I'm surprised we don't have a second one right here, but over here you can see he's actually nailing together. Xavier is some 2x4s that are going to go in that corner, right outside corner over here, because we missed getting a couple 2x4s in there to give enough meat for those straps out front to tie down to. So putting a rebar into these cone things, the footings. Interesting. Whoops, sorry.
Towards me, right?
Yeah, but you want it dead on or beyond?
See, he's got a
I can't hear you.
You want it dead on or beyond?
I want it dead on.
Alright.
He's got like a little ball vise right there
Right there.
that is being
Eddie.
used to
Give me a nail.
plumb up the
Play
walls.
back one turn.
Come check the other
Can you give us
side.
some nails?
16 pennies.
You want 16 pennies?
Oh no, he needs.
No, I only have one. Sorry.
I got a handful of these if you need these.
Add one to him.
Here, Eddie.
Put a nail down through the top.
See that? Yeah. Got caught on the rebar. Ah, I ripped my sweat. That's a bummer.
Get it, make
that's a
sure, hey,
blooper
get
for
it,
the
make sure when you do
video
that,
reel.
you're on right. Send
See
it
how
home,
it's clamping
Eddie.
these two walls together.
I needed the telescope kit up there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Putting clips on the bottom of these little tubes right here. Tying them in. We're only using 2 of those per tube.
Yeah.
So how high does the concrete go above those? As tall as the rebar goes? Or, I guess we'll see. Put them in alternate directions too, the bends, as you can see. One's bending that way and one's bending that way. Very spiffy. So rebar tying bands specifically for it. Makes it easy.
Yeah, go ahead and get that.
How many does he want?
He only said 1, but I'm sure we're gonna need more, so we might as well both grab one, right? Maybe. It's good. Makes you tougher. Huh?
Wait, what'd you say?
Carrying sheets of plywood makes you tougher. So we're gonna get ready to put some sheeting on the exterior of this garage. We're only gonna do the corners so that we can leave this all open to be able to reach through the openings in order to work the concrete that we're gonna have poured. But from the top of the double top plate, he measured down 96 3/4 inches. The 3/4 inches, because like on the other walls that we built, we had a 3/4 inch gap from the bottom of the plywood or the OSB, and so once that we'll have that our bottom sheet sitting basically right onto the concrete. There'll be a strip going along there that's basically 16.5 inches. We're actually ripping down to 16.25 inches to give us a little bit of slack. And then the full sheet that'll be sitting on top of that. And that should leave us a 3/4 inch gap at the top that'll allow us for the roof trusses and everything. Yep, so that's good. Okay, over here you can see on the double top plate, we're actually getting the 3rd plate, which is going to give us an edge for drywall for the ceiling to attach to, and it's also going to affect our ability. You can notice that we left a gap right here from this edge to this edge. That's going to allow us to set our roof trusses. And we've also got a gap on this edge, obviously, because it's overhanging on the other side, but you can see how that's kind of placed in there all the way down. And that it's only going to go on these parallel walls, because this is going to also help us with our trusses and we don't want to get in the way. So we'll see how exactly we go about doing all of these. As of right now, we've talked about only putting them onto that far exterior garage wall and then this interior garage wall right there, but we'll see as we get to it how exactly that all goes together. And of course you can see our ground wire right there being fed through, and we'll see where that thing finally ends up for its home. Okay. All right, you can see we've put on just a few pieces of exterior sheeting on this garage wall that we've built. We put the lower 16.5 on first, and then of course we routed that out and then put the 8-footers on right there. You can see we've done the same thing right there with the 16.5 or 16.25. We put that in, and then you can put the sheet on top of it. Again, I'm guessing we're going to route that out. And then put up just some corner bracing sheets to make it so that we can keep our structure square. We put the effort into getting it square. Again, put in the bottom 16.25 sheet, and then standing them up lengthwise on it.